Everyone listening right now, stop what you're doing for just a second, because what I'm about to tell you could completely change how you see your future in the UK. If you care about buying a home, if you care about your money, or if you're tired of feeling like the system is stacked against you, you need to hear this. And before we go any further, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this channel breaks down the property news and economic shifts that actually affect your life, not the watered-down headlines you see everywhere else. Trust me, if you don't stay informed, this market will leave you behind. The dream of owning your first home in Britain is slipping further out of reach, and the numbers coming out right now are genuinely alarming. New projections show that by 2026, the average first-time buyer will need around £210,800 just to get a foot on the property ladder. Let that sink in for a moment. This isn't a luxury penthouse or a dream home in a leafy suburb. This is the average entry point, and it's rising fast. For millions of young people, that figure feels less like a target and more like a brick wall, one that keeps getting taller every single year. While politicians talk and analysts argue over technicalities, real people are watching their hopes of home ownership fade month by month. What makes this situation so unsettling is that it's no longer just about tightening your belt or saving a bit harder. Property prices are rising faster than wages and faster than most people can save, which means the finish line keeps moving away no matter how disciplined you are. In London and the southeast, the situation borders on absurd. First-time buyers in some parts of the capital are staring at entry prices of £500,000 or more for small basic homes, while average salaries simply haven't kept up. Even dual-income households with stable jobs are finding themselves priced out before they even begin. For years, people were told that if London was too expensive, they should just look elsewhere. But that advice is starting to sound hollow. Areas in the north of England and parts of Scotland, once seen as affordable alternatives, are now experiencing price growth that outpaces local income increases. These regions are no longer safe havens for first-time buyers. Instead, they're becoming the next battleground, where demand spills over and pushes prices beyond what local workers can realistically afford. The idea of just waiting it out has become a cruel joke in a market where waiting often means falling further behind. Behind these headline prices is a mortgage market that's becoming increasingly unforgiving. Lenders are demanding larger deposits, especially if buyers want access to competitive interest rates. Many first-time buyers are being asked to put down 15 to 20% upfront. On a £210,800 property, that means finding somewhere between £31,000 and £42,000 in cash before you even think about legal fees, surveys, moving costs, and stamp duty. For people in their late 20s and early 30s, already battling high rents and rising living costs, saving that kind of money can feel almost impossible. Rising interest rates have only added fuel to the fire. Just a couple of years ago, buyers could secure mortgages at around 3%. Now, many are facing rates closer to 5 or even 6%. That difference might not sound dramatic on paper, but in real life, it can add hundreds of pounds to monthly repayments. For buyers sitting on the edge of affordability, that increase alone is enough to push them out of the market entirely. The cruel irony is that even as house prices remain high, borrowing has become more expensive, squeezing buyers from both sides. As a result, more people are turning to what's become known as the bank of mum and dad. Family help is increasingly the deciding factor between those who can buy and those who can't. But not everyone has parents who can hand over tens of thousands of pounds. This is creating a deeply unfair two-tier system where home ownership is less about hard work and more about family wealth. If your parents own property and can help you, you might stand a chance. If they can't, you're often locked out, no matter how hard you try. The consequences of this crisis go far beyond housing. Delayed home ownership is delaying entire lives. Couples are putting off having children because they don't feel secure renting or living with parents. Young professionals are missing out on the wealth-building benefits of owning property, benefits that previous generations relied on for long-term financial security. Instead of building equity, today's renters are pouring huge portions of their income into rent, money they'll never see again. Consumer spending is also taking a hit. People are diverting every spare pound into deposit savings, cutting back on travel, leisure, and everyday spending. This creates a strange contradiction where the economy needs people to spend, but individuals feel forced to save aggressively just to stand still in the housing race. Mental health professionals are increasingly warning about the psychological toll of this pressure. Anxiety, depression, and feelings of failure are becoming more common among young adults who feel they've done everything right and still can't achieve what was once considered a basic life milestone. Government schemes designed to help first-time buyers are struggling to make a meaningful difference. The Lifetime ISA offers a 25% bonus on savings, but with a maximum bonus of £1,000 per year, it barely scratches the surface of today's deposit requirements. Shared ownership schemes sound appealing, but often come with complex rules, long-term costs, and limited flexibility. Help to buy equity loans are being phased out just as prices hit record highs, leaving buyers with fewer options than ever before. Many critics argue these schemes boost demand without fixing the underlying problem, which is a severe lack of housing supply. Meanwhile, the rental market offers little relief. Rents are rising at their fastest pace in decades as landlords pass on higher mortgage costs and take advantage of relentless demand. Many renters are now spending 40 to 50% of their income just to keep a roof over their heads. That leaves very little room for saving, enjoying life, or dealing with emergencies. On top of that, security for renters in England remains weak, with the ongoing threat of no-fault evictions creating constant uncertainty. Experts agree that this crisis is the result of a perfect storm. Decades of underbuilding have left the UK with a chronic housing shortage, especially in areas with strong job markets. Planning restrictions, local opposition, and slow development processes make it incredibly difficult to build at the scale required. Housing has also become heavily financialized, treated as an investment asset rather than a basic human need. Years of low interest rates encouraged speculation and drove prices higher, while economic opportunities concentrated in major cities intensified demand in specific regions. Looking ahead, the outlook isn't comforting. Most forecasts predict continued price growth through 2026 and beyond, with no major correction in sight. Older generations are holding onto property longer, either living in it or renting it out, while younger generations compete for a limited supply. Political leaders remain reluctant to implement radical reforms that could upset existing homeowners, a powerful voting group that benefits from rising prices. What we're seeing isn't just a housing problem, it's a fundamental shift in who gets to build wealth in Britain. The £210,800 figure for first-time buyers represents a barrier that many will never overcome without dramatic change. Without large-scale social housing, serious planning reform, and a rethinking of how property is taxed and regulated, the UK risks becoming a nation divided between property owners and permanent renters. For millions of young Brits, this isn't about luxury or greed. It's about stability, dignity, and the chance to build a future. The decisions made in the next few years will determine whether home ownership remains achievable for ordinary working people or becomes a privilege passed down through family wealth. And right now, the direction of travel should worry everyone. If you want to stay informed about what's really happening in the property market and how it affects your future, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us because this story is far from over.